Hi, my name's Jen. This is a 20-minute class I'd like to offer to help ease any stiffness or pain in the back and in the hips. So just move through a series of, again, hip openers, maybe try and stretch through the hips to help ease any back pain or tightness you might have. We'll start on our hands and knees, and if you have any props, have those handy nearby, even if it's just pillows or blankets, that's great. We'll inhale and lift up through the chest, lift up through the sit bones. Exhale, press away from the floor. So really allow the spine to round, the head and the chin to tuck in, lengthen through the spine as you reach the fingers forward, hips press back. Roll forward like a snake, so allow the spine to round, press into the space between the shoulder blades. Come back to a nice neutral long spine and then lift the hips. Maybe take the heels from the floor, draw the hands back, kick the heels up, lifting up through the heart. Keep the back of the neck nice and long. Dropping through the feet, rounding through the spine, pressing back, so lengthening through the spine, fingers crawling forward, hollowing out the armpits. Draw the shoulder blades back down the back, the rib cage. Bring the left arm, place it on top of the right. Breathe deeply into the left ribs, creating a little more space. Exhale the hands over to the left. The right hand on top of the left. Inhale deeply. Hands back to the mat again one more time, rounding forward. Coming onto the toes, lifting up the hips. Moving the hips, moving the feet again. Just feeling like you're working out any kinks, any stiffness, pedaling the feet out. Maybe placing the right foot on the floor, wrapping the left behind just for an inhale, exhale. Pressing the hands away from the floor again, feeling like you're lengthening through the spine. Crossing the right leg in behind the left, lifting the sit bones up. Bringing both feet to the floor, bending the knees a lot, really feeling the spine lengthen. Sit bones are tilting up, knees are bent quite a bit, really lengthening from the palms to the hips. Inhale, lift the hips up and take the heels toward the floor. Come into a three-legged dog, kicking the heel away. Now open up to scorpion. Kick the heel away a little more, pressing away from the floor, and then allow the heel and the foot to drop, be passive. Opening through the right hip, just let the foot dangle. Step the right foot forward, coming into a low lunge. Stay in your low lunge for a breath or two again, feeling the spine get longer as the head reaches forward, the left heel reaches back. And take the left knee to the floor. Stay nice and wide so you're really stable. Untuck the left toe. Next inhale, lift up, reach up through the arms, reach, spread between the ribs. Clasping the thumbs, lengthen up even more. Reach up and exhale gently. Press the left hip forward. Maybe take the arms into even a bit of a side bend, reaching up and over as you exhale gently, pressing the left hip forward. The left hand or the right hand, come back into a bit of a twist, revolve. The left palm faces the back of the room. Reach up and press the palm back. Left hand comes to the floor, moving to our lizard lunge. If you have blocks or your pillow, take them inside the right foot. You don't need blocks or pillow, just try and keep the spine nice and long. Inhale, a nice long spine, reach the chest up, big inhale. Exhale, let the left hip gently move forward, maybe even gently contracting the left glutes, the left butt cheek a little bit to help ease that left hip forward. If you want to bring your right foot out to an angle to the right, maybe 20-ish degrees. Rolling on the outside of the foot if that feels good, just making sure that the foot and the knee are still facing the same direction. Even thinking of maybe trying to move into a twist. If you want to bring your right hand to the right thigh, rolling the right shoulder back. Still staying strong in the left arm, pushing away from the floor, maintaining a nice long spine, lifting away from the floor. And if you want to attempt a quadricep stretch, if you want to play with that, maybe think of pulling the left foot in, the left heel. Now you don't need to do this extra little part of the posture. You can skip this altogether. But if you want to play with grabbing that foot, rolling right shoulder back. Carefully letting go of the left foot. Removing any blocks or props. Quick little half split, Ardha Padmanasana. Just again, a few little dynamic movements here. Loosening through the hips, the hamstrings, rocking gently back and forth. And then tuck your left toes. Plant the hands on the floor. If you want to come into a downward dog or a tabletop again, just to move around, get circulation flowing. And eventually coming to your downward dog, we take the left leg back into our three-legged dog. Open up the hip, belly button rotates left. Big kick away, press away from the floor, get long, and then allow the foot to dangle. Becomes passive. Bring your left foot forward, big step forward, and the right knee comes to the floor. Maybe double up your mat if your knee is a little bit sensitive. Inhale, lift up, and again, you can clasp thumbs if that felt good. Maybe hands and fingers cross or release index fingers. We want to focus on lifting up and maybe coming over to the left. Exhale, gently pressing the right hip forward. So just notice if you're forcing that hip or just using your exhales to softly allow the muscle to get a little bit more relaxed. Let's revolve our crescent lunge. Left hand comes back to the back of the right thigh, palm faces back, reach up and back. And then windmill the hands back down inside the left leg, coming to our lizard lunge again, setting yourself up in the same way you did on the other side. Maybe you have to adjust a little bit, modify on a different side. Again, you can roll your foot out, allow the knee to roll to the side. If that doesn't feel good, keep that foot facing straight up and down. Hands can come on blocks or pillows. Lifting up through the chest, maybe coming into a little bit of a twist. So these are all just different stages of the posture. You don't have to move into any of these different versions. Rolling the left shoulder back if you've come into that twist, and then again, maybe play with pulling the right foot back, pressing the hip forward gently. Slowly letting that foot go. Again, moving any props you might have in the way. Keeping your left foot to the left side of the mat. We're going to spring forward with the right foot coming into Malasana, Goddess. So I'm going to turn to face you guys, not Goddess, Malasana. Turn the toes out and then start sinking the hips to any degree. So maybe you want to stay a little more upright. If you feel like you can come a little bit lower, perhaps the elbows come inside the knees. If you have props, feel free to stack your blocks or pillows or something or books underneath the hips, if that feels better. Or you can take this up against the wall. So move it around until it feels like it's a nice deep stretch. It shouldn't be super uncomfortable, but it is intense. It's a pretty deep stretch. So just knowing the difference between pain and maybe a little discomfort. And just really use your breath. Notice if you're holding tension in your hips. So we tend to hold tension in this posture for sure. So notice if you can let go at all with your exhale. So big full inhale, lifting through the heart and the chest. So it's almost a little mini cobra with the chest as we lift up. Exhale, release the hips. Stay in this posture for at least 5 to 10 breaths. Just keep breathing. Notice if you're holding on. Try and let go as much as you can with your exhale. If your heels are lifting off of the floor, do your best to adjust your feet so you can get the heels down. Maybe double up your mat, place your mat or a blanket, something underneath the heels. Maybe don't sit down quite as low. Slowly coming out, bringing hands to floor, lifting up through the hips. Let's take the feet out nice and wide. Inhale, a long spine, bringing the weight forward in the feet. Exhale, forward fold, and then come into a forward fold, but ragdoll. Grab opposite elbow, bend the knees as much as you need to. Allow the weight to come forward and the head to be heavy. Get any kinks, maybe shake the head left to right. Hands to the floor, moving through Skandasana, rolling the right toes up so the toes turn back out, rolling the right toes up, and then we switch sides, gently nudging elbow into the inner thigh, rolling left toes up. Or again, rolling right. One more time, left. Then pivot the feet forward, back to the front of the room, planting hands on the floor, coming back to our tabletop position. Take the left foot out, extend the left foot away from you. Reach the arms forward, hollow out the armpits, allow the forehead to come to the floor or a block or a pillow. And just walking the hands back. Moving the left leg into some big circular motions, some hip mobility work as you take the leg into big circular motions. So don't worry about what it looks like. And then the left foot comes forward, moving into pigeon, sliding the right leg back. Again, if that left hip is floating, grab your book, your block, your pillow, tucking it underneath the left hip. Let the left knee come out to the side to any degree that's comfortable for you. And then forearms to the floor if that works. You can stay up nice and tall if you want. If you feel you can come to the forearms with a nice long spine, you can bring forearms to floor, head to floor. If this bothers your knee at all, if you have any knee issues, you're going to come to this same idea of a stretch, but we're going to do this in a seated version, our seated figure 4, crossing left leg over right, flexing through the left ankle, lifting up through the chest. Stay here for another 4 or 5 full breaths. Come back to your fluid breath if you've lost your breath and started engaging in thoughts. Just come back to your breath, maybe visualizing the breath moving in circles, watching it move through the body. Just doing your best to stay present. We switch sides. Coming back to your tabletop, bringing the right leg, extending right leg out to the side, crawling the arms forward, stretching the arms forward, lifting the hips up, hollowing out the armpits. Walking the hands back, moving to our big hip circles. So right leg starts rotating in big, big circles. And then we take the right knee and bring it forward into our pigeon. Sliding right knee over, left leg slides back again. Using a prop underneath the right hip. If the hip is floating, and again, maybe pigeon worked on one side. If you feel anything happening in your knee that just feels a little bit off on this side, then just coming back to our figure 4, seated or even laying on your back. Slowly coming out of whichever version you are holding. Coming into rabbit. So rabbit, we will tuck the toes. So if you haven't done rabbit, just watching maybe the first time, well, watching for sure, we want to have the head tucking in and the chin coming in toward the chest. So the top of the head moves toward the floor, but you can have virtually no weight on your head if you don't want any pressure on the top of your head. Grabbing at your heels or behind the legs, think of lifting the hips, tucking in the chin, so really nice for your thyroid as well. Lifting the hips, pulling away from the heels, feeling that stretch, deep stretch between the shoulder blades. So try not to be on your forehead, really think of tucking the chin in. Untucking toes, rolling back up, coming to seated in our final posture, Janushirshasana. Extending left leg away, right leg is tucked in. Again, if the leg is floating, anything's floating, just support it with some blocks or pillows. You can also do this posture if it bothers your knees with both legs extended. So trying to sit up on the sit bones. Keeping the torso straight. Reaching the left arm and left hand toward the left toes, rolling the right shoulder back. Right arm reaches up and over, so lengthen through the right low back as that hand reaches up and over, but try not to lose the rolling back motion of the right shoulder, the chest. If you don't like the hand floating, you can place it on the head, but still think of lifting through the elbow. Holding this posture for 3 or 4 more breaths. Just keep breathing. Lifting up, right hand to floor, joy pose. Little counter stretch, reach up and over. Hip to the floor, switching sides, extending right leg, left foot comes in, again supporting that left knee if it's floating at all. You can even use a block inside the right leg. If you don't like the arm floating, that block can be placed underneath the right arm. So many things you can do with blocks and pillows to help the posture be a little more accessible. Roll the left shoulder back, reaching right fingers toward the right toes. Start lifting up and stretching the arm over, rolling left shoulder back. Inhale, lifting up, coming to joy or counter stretch, lifting up and over. Big reach, lift the right armpit up. Hips back down to the floor, coming into a comfortable seated position. Staying still with your breath for a few breaths, just noticing how you feel. If you feel a little bit more loose through the back, through the hips. Inhale deeply, reach up, 1 full breath. Exhale completely. I thank you guys for joining me. I hope this gave you some space and comfort in your back and hips. It's my pleasure. Namaste.